restoring Illinois to greatness. This is Illinois Rising, presented by the Illinois Policy Institute and hosted by AM 560's Dan Proft.
Dan Proft back with John Tillman, President and CEO of the Illinois Policy Institute. And John, as I want to say, every time my alma mater is in the news, that would be Northwestern, the value of my degree declines. And this happened again this past week because 100 or so of these bedwetters at Northwestern protested in solidarity or starvidarity because of, the hunger strikes with the overgrown adolescents at the University of Missouri. They protested on the occasion of this groundbreaking for the athletic complex in Evanston, but did so in solidarity, starvidarity with the kids at University of Missouri and elsewhere who cannot hear a coarse word. Unless they just descend into a puddle of tears.
Yeah, the pansification of college students today to prepare them for life is really quite extraordinary. And I love the fact that the guy in Missouri, his father, African-American, makes $8 million a year working for a railroad as a senior executive. Really, it's been a burden to get to that spot in life at the University of Missouri. But I think what's interesting about this, Dan, is the connection between what's going on in campuses and what's going on with the president talking about people dissenting with his refugee policy and his policies on ISIS in general. And what the president is doing and what the college campus bedwetters, as you call them, are all doing is they're shouting down dissent on college campuses, which are supposed to be the sort of the central nexus of dissent where free speech is championed and encouraged, all views are heard. And this has been going on for a number of years. I think it's a very dangerous thing for the republic and the little r sense of it and the founding of the country and free speech. The left has completely converted from the 60s, where they wanted robust debate, to shutting down debate. I think it's an interesting time in America.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, was it Jonah Goldberg said that this generation of students on college campuses is precisely the generation that the mandarins of political correctness were waiting for, that
right.
Essentially started in the 60s. That they certainly were present when I was in college 20 years ago, and it's just now metastasized into this very ugly, intolerant, repressive mentality that that has been empowered on college campuses by the so-called adults in charge. It's kind of sad. What you have, it seems to me, is my perpetual grievances trump your rights.
Right.
And it's fine if you have a grievance, even if you have an illegitimate one and you want to express it, you want to have a protest, you want to rally around it, fine. But the idea that grievances silence or trump and trample rights, pretty dangerous.
Well, I had a college professor who was really terrific in many ways, left of center, before I really even understood, because I was just a naive bedwetter myself.
Audience shocked to learn you're a college graduate.
I'm still shocked when I see that diploma. I wonder if I might have just forgot that I printed it myself. But he said something I thought that was always sort of interesting that I've sometimes taken issue with, but if ever there was a time for this phrase, it is now, and is the only thing to be intolerant of is intolerance itself. It's a kind of a reasonable sentiment, I think, applying to this. And I think the part that I think is so disturbing is that the institutions that should be ridiculing this behavior are empowering it. The press, the university presidents, Tom Wolf, the university president of Missouri, resigns. I think the governors who have said, no, we think we ought to have a pause on the immigration or the refugee policy of this president are being ridiculed. And it'll be interesting to see how many of them stand tall and make the argument to the American people.
You have a teenage daughter.
I do, 17 this month.
And so she's getting very near to college age. How's that conversation going?
It's really funny that you bring that up. On Sunday night, we have our Sunday night family dinner, and we usually play a little Rumi Cube beforehand, and then the game breaks down because we get into some serious conversations.
Apologizing to each other for your white privilege.
Well, there's a lot of microaggressions from her to me, let me tell you.
I bet.
But we did get into this exact conversation. It was fascinating to learn, or hear rather, what she has learned. And she has definitely learned all the talking points that schools teach about, we can't blanket all Muslims. All Muslims aren't terrorists. And, of course, then we got into that a little bit, and she, of course, returned to center and came to the right place, which, of course not. All Muslims are not terrorists. But as this woman I saw recently in a video at an event at the Heritage Foundation said, the peaceful Muslims are irrelevant. What's relevant is the 200 or 300 or 400 that are violent. The president who has a point of view, that's nice, but what is relevant is his suppression of free speech. To even discuss radical Islamic fundamentalism on campuses, what is relevant is the suppression of free speech. I do believe it was Jonah Goldberg that wrote the book Liberal Fascism.
Right.
It is in full bloom.